Hi everyone, my name is Sylvain Raymond from Plus Solutions and Consulting. During this presentation, you will be able to take a closer look at an eDev2Excel enabled uniPaaS application. For the purpose of this presentation, I'm using one of our modules called Duty Drawback, which happens to be an eDev2Excel enabled application. This eDev2Excel capability can be seen from the menus options over here during execution of the application. So if I take one of the programs, the first program of this application, which lists a bunch of tariff codes. So while the user is in this program, he can simply click on the Excel toolbar button over here, get the result of what is currently in the uniPaaS application in an Excel sheet. Furthermore, the user can use a second option that gives him more capabilities to interact with the end result. For example, let's say we would want to get the from date in front of the tariff code rather than after in the result. Then I could click Finish, and now the from date came in front of the tariff code. The user could make a selection, for example, Control R 5303 star, which means all the tariff codes starting by 5303. Now if he activates the result, only those will come up in the Excel result. Now let's take a program that purposely is not currently eDev2Excel enabled. Basically, I took out the ability from this program to show you as a developer you will activate it over an existing program. So while in this program, if the user clicks this option, he will get a message to the effect that something is missing for this option to be available. So let's see what the developer has to do in this particular program now. I go to the Care Content program, I zoom in, and I activate the properties of the task, and I put in the task ID something of my choice that will uniquely identify this task for the purpose of eDev2Excel. Done. As a developer, that's all that's required. Once an application is eDev2Excel enabled, that's all that's required to activate the option. Now, the first time that a user or a developer comes in on a program, he will be directed to a wizard that will ease his first initial setup of that particular bridge of this program with Excel. For example, over here, we could choose that we don't need to present the entire data view, but we could limit the scope to a certain beginning and end. We'll leave it as is for now. And then we can select the fields we want, give some titles that in Excel will come up better than otherwise. That would be the tariff code. This one is just a repetition for link purposes, so we can just untag. Let's say we wouldn't need the date, and we would leave the rate. The next option would enable choosing a location and a name for the Excel result. And there comes the result. As a last step of that presentation, we'll look a little bit under the hood, and I'll show you quickly the 4 elements that make up the fact that a uniPaaS application is eDev2Excel enabled. First element is if we go to the main program and we go to the list of user events, we see 2 events over here, DataView2 and DataView2Wizard. simple events. One is passing a parameter. The details of how to set these up is all very well documented in a PDF, but I'm just going through now to give you the basic idea of how easy and quick it is to be able to proceed. And then in the main program logic editor, there are two events that refer to the user events previously displayed, which basically these two events take care of each menu item that we saw during the presentation. They each call a particular program, DataView2. This program in this particular application is located a bit lower over here between 97 and 1010, and the DataView2 is at position 107. So these options basically call these programs, which are using those utilities and wizards. And of course the menus also have to be set up. Basically we have a 2Excel menu over here, and the details are two items, which each item refers to the user events and associated handler that we just saw in the main program of the application. For more information about the eDev2Excel product, you can access www.informaplus.com/edev2excel.html. Hoping this short presentation gives you more insight in terms of the value that a product like eDev2Excel can add to your uniPaaS applications. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Sylvain Raymond from Informa Plus Solutions and Consulting.